Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. In today's lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning how to create an awesome weather app using the API provided by Yahoo Weather. However, it is an API, but it's not that friendly to use, so I've created my own library, which you guys can download in a second. So anyways, here's a little example of what I've done. If I just click on the weather app right here, you guys will see information pop up on screen. We have mostly cloudy, the current condition. It's not done yet. Obviously, as you guys can see, this thing's a little bit off center and stuff like that. But we have the temperature, sunrise, sunset, all types of weather information, and same goes for atmospheric conditions as well. You can see a big gap on the right hand side. That is because I still have yet to add code to cater for the next day, the day after that, basically for the rest of the week. You can see on most websites it'll give you the highs and lows for most for the rest of the days of the week. I'm also going to be adding code to do that, and that's going to be placed here. However, it's currently not done, but as soon as I have time, I will be adding code and I will be updating the weather library. As soon as it's updated, you guys will see an annotation. So if you're watching this in the future, you guys will be able to tell that the new data is supported. So what we want to do is we want to open up Netbeans, and all we want to do is we want to click on File, New Project, New Java Application, Next, and we're just going to name this thing anything you want. So I'm going to name mine Weather Tutorial. Click on Finish, and then we're just basically doing the default setup. However, there are some people out there who are attempting to build something hectic and who can't even open up Netbeans, so I'm just going to go over it anyway. So you want to right click on Source Packages, go down to New Java Package, and just give a random package name. So I'm going to call mine App Package. It's usually your website backwards, so mine will be com.teknikindustries.weather, but I don't want to type that, so I just type in App Package. Now we want to right click, go down to New JFrame Form, and we're going to call this Home GUI. And then we're just going to leave it like that big, because it's not about the GUI in this case, it's more about the information. You guys can create your own GUI if you wish. Then we're just going to clear out the code in here. Okay, so this is what it should look like once you've cleaned it out. So what we're going to do is, this home GUI is basically a constructor, and in the constructor we are running a method called initComponents, which is in this generated code. And what you guys can see, initComponents basically lays out your GUI. So after initComponents, that way we can start typing out code, because that's after everything has been executed. So after we've created our JFrame form and our layout and stuff like that. Okay, just keep that in mind. We're not going to be working on it right now, but we will be creating a new method. So we're going to call this public void get weather. Okay, whoops, sorry. We're creating a method. So the method is public, can be accessed from any of the other classes. Void means there's no return type, and get weather is just a random name that we've chosen for get weather. So after edit components, you're just going to type in get weather. So what's going to happen is it's going to probably tell us to make it final. Yep. You guys can go ahead and make it private if you want. It doesn't really matter, because you don't need to access it anywhere else. And usually making things private is a bit better anyways. So wherever you can, if you can make it private, go ahead and make it private. So what's going to happen is when our GUI opens, it's going to run this constructor, which is home GUI. In the constructor, we have init component, so it's basically going to lay out our GUI. And as soon as our GUI is laid out, it's going to execute in the execute code that's found in the get weather method, which is going to be typed in right here. So in the constructor, we're going to be typing code to actually fetch the weather. However, before we can get to that, what we need to do is we need to open up a file browser. We need to go to Documents. We need to go to Netbeans Projects, and we need to go to your project. So mine's called Weather Tutorial, and in here we're going to create a new folder called libs for library. So just keep this open, and you want to open up your web browser. Open up Google or whatever it may be. You want to type in teknikindustries.com. I'll leave the link in the description. This is our new website. For those of you older fans, you guys may be unfamiliar with this website. However, it has been updated, a more modern look and feel. So you guys can take a look at some of the stuff we do if you just want to browse over that real quickly. But the stuff that you want is found in this YouTube tab right on the end. So it's going to open up the YouTube resource packs, and as you guys can see, we have all the downloads that you can access, and you guys can pick the one that you want. So we are currently working on the weather app. You can see we have Yahoo Weather Java Library. All you want to do is click on it. It'll open up in your current tab to hightail.com, and you can download the weather library.zip. All you want to do is unzip it, and you are left with a jar file that looks like this. So now open up your file explorer again, and in the libs folder you just want to drag and drop the weather library.jar. Okay, now that you've done that, what you need to do is you need to import it so that your project can make use of that library. So you want to click on your project name, which in my case is called weather tutorial. Yours could be a weather app or whatever it may be. Right click, go down to properties. You want to select the second category option, which is called libraries. Then on the right hand side you want to click on add jar/folder, and you want to add the weather library. However, this thing can appear in random places, so you want to navigate to your Netbeans projects folder and your folder that relates to the current app that you're working on in the libs folder, and then navigate to the jar. You basically just want to find the jar and click on open, and basically it's imported. As soon as you click on OK, it sorts everything out. Okay, so now you can make use of all the methods and stuff found in my library. So one of the first methods, the first method that you need to do, the first out of the two methods, is type in weather doc. Doc is equal to new weather doc, and what this does is it basically is creating an instance of the weather doc class, which is found in my library. However, Java does not know this, so what it's doing is it's giving me an error on weather doc because it finds it doesn't find anything related to weather doc. However, it does find something related to weather doc in my library. So what you have to do is you have to add the import for com.teknikindustries.yahoo-weather.weatherdoc. So you just want to click on add import for com.teknikindustries, whatever, and you guys will see it'll pop up on the top and the error will go away. However, it's not going away because we have to add in two parameters. The first parameter is taken as a string, and the second parameter is also taken as a string. Remember guys, this is not a beginner tutorial. This tutorial obviously requires knowledge from previous tutorials or from previous Java knowledge, whatever it may be. So if you are new, don't leave a comment saying I'm a terrible explainer because I didn't explain what a parameter is, what a class is, because this is not a tutorial to help you get started with Java. The whole app development series is dedicated for those people who have followed my other tutorials or who have knowledge and they just want to build something over the weekend or whatever it may be. Okay, so the first parameter takes a string as it takes a WoW ID as a string. Now what a WoW ID is basically a where on earth identifier. So what you want to do is you want to open up a new browser window. Oh, what happened there? And all you want to do is you want to type in WOE-ID. So where on earth identifier. Okay, so you want to click on Yahoo WoW ID lookup, and you guys can type in any place that you currently reside or any place that you want to check the weather for. Mine is Durban. I live in South Africa, Durban, so I'm going to copy this WoW ID right here. Just double click, Control C, you can close that window, and you want to paste it into the first parameter as a string. The second parameter is basically metric or imperial. If you want to use Celsius, type in C. If you want to have Fahrenheit, you want to type in F. However, this is not a very good system because C, even though it's for Celsius, it gives you metric units. It returns metric units. So for stuff like wind speed, it'll be in kilometers an hour. However, if you use Fahrenheit, it'll return Fahrenheit as the temperature unit, and it'll return miles per hour as the wind speed and stuff like that. So if you want to use imperial, type in F. If you want to use metric, type in C. Okay, so what this line of code basically does is it creates a document full of information found at WoW ID, this number right here, and also all units will be in Celsius or in metric. So that's what this weather doc does. It creates a document with all the information. Then the next thing we need to do is we need to actually display this information. So I've created another method called weather display. Give it around a variable name, disp, is equal to new weather display. Okay, and we got an error because we need to add the import. So click on the little light bulb, add import for com.teknikindustries, whatever. You guys can see the two imports up there. So once that has been completed, you are essentially done. All you need to do is output the information that you get. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to type in disp, which is basically accessing all the methods in this disp class, which is an instance of the weather display class. So you type in disp dot, and you guys can see a whole bunch of methods found in here. Now all the methods that you can use are, or that a user created, are highlighted in bold, okay, and also return a string. So if you find something like get conditions, it's a void. So I'm going to make that private so you guys cannot access it, but that wouldn't be used. You wouldn't need to use get class, get city. You can use that one. You wouldn't use any of these because these are not in bold. So what we want to do is let's get our temperature, because that's obviously the most important thing. So it's disp.getTemperature. Okay. Now this basically fetches the temperature and returns it as a string. However, it simply returns it, does not display it. So in order to display it, you need to put this into some sort of a way to output to the user, which in my case, I'm going to use system.out.println, which we use extensively. So it's basically printing out whatever's in here, which is disp.getTemperature, to the console. Okay, or to the output window as seen over here at the bottom. And you guys can see it prints out 15, and that means 15 degrees Celsius. The reason why I know it's Celsius is because we selected Celsius as our unit. So what we want to do now is we want to add a JLabel, okay? Just add it anywhere, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to go over how to create a GUI and stuff. You want to change the variable name. Let's say info1. In real world, if you wanted to input or output the city, you type in city, but because I'm going to be changing it, I'm just named it info1. Okay, go into your source code, and all you want to do is you want to copy out this disp.getTemperature, because I don't want to retype it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to type in info1, which is basically accessing the JLabel, dot set text, which is going to set the text of the JLabel, and then we're going to type in disp.getTemperature. Now, because disp.getTemperature is returning a temperature of like 25, it's basically going to say info1, which is the JLabel, dot set text. What text is it going to set? It's going to set 23 degrees Celsius, or whatever value this method right here returns. So in order to see that, we're going to click on the play button, and you guys can see it is 15 degrees Celsius. Now what you guys can do is you can add in another JLabel, add it in just below, change it to info2 or whatever you want to call it, edit the text, and underneath this all you want to do is you want to type in info2.setText. In fact, I'm not going to type that whole thing out, I'm just going to copy and paste, and then change info1 to info2, and then you can change disp to something else. You can say disp.get let's get the condition. So get condition means like mostly cloudy or rainy or whatever. So as you guys can see, info1.setText is basically printing out the temperature, which is 15 degrees Celsius, and info2.setText is printing out the condition, which in my case is mostly cloudy. Okay, so what you can do is you can also change C to F, and this will output the temperature in Fahrenheit, and you guys can see it's 59 degrees Fahrenheit. And obviously we have some other information. I'm going to change the get condition to something else. I'm going to change disp dot get condition to disp dot get temperature unit. So that'll return F. Okay, so now when you run this, you'll see it'll say 59 F. So what can happen is, instead of typing it out like that, you can say copy that, add this in. Because it's a string, you can use the addition, and it won't actually perform addition. And you guys can see it says 59F. Now, if you basically use those escape characters, or not escape characters, I forgot what they're called, but you can add in a degree symbol. You guys can just Google how to add in a degree symbol. But there's a lot of other stuff that you can add in, and you can basically use our other tutorials to help create something like what I've done, which is right here. You guys can see this is nothing more than JLabels, and the information has been displayed in those JLabels. You can see we also have an image. That's just because I checked if it's mostly cloudy, I display the mostly cloudy image. If it's rainy, I'll display the rainy image. You can see we have the temperature, and I have the degree symbol, which you guys can find online. Sunrise, sunset, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can add in as well. You guys can see I don't have the units over here, but you can just simply use disp.getUnits or get temperature units or get weather, get pressure units or whatever it may be, and add it onto the end. So what I recommend doing when using this library is, instead of typing disp.getTemperature unit, what you do instead is you type in string temp unit is equal to disp.getTemperature unit. The reason why I say this is because you can reuse this over and over again without having to type out the same code. So you can simply type in plus temp u, and it'll print out the temperature units, and you can print it out as many times as you want without having to type in this long bit of code. So anyways guys, if you enjoyed the tutorial, please don't forget to leave us a like, don't forget to comment, subscribe as well if you haven't already, and I just want to thank you guys for continually supporting our channel even when we are currently busy. So I'm going to try reward you guys for being such great subscribers and post more videos more often. So 2 videos a week, that's the plan. This is the second video for this week, and hopefully next week I'll be able to stick to that schedule. However, I need your guys' help. If I'm only one person, I do not have the ability to come up with 2 tutorials every week without the help of you guys. So if you guys want a tutorial, and I get a lot of recommendations, and I look at every single one of them, even if you send it via email, if you send it as a comment, I take a look at all the recommendations, and I basically just write it down on my iPhone, and I get to them when I get time. So if you guys have a suggestion for a video, please don't forget to send it to me, whether it be as a comment, whether it be on Facebook or Twitter, which can all be found in the description. Just as long as you basically tell me what type of tutorial you want to see, so I can actually build it for you guys, and we can keep the content continually flowing on this channel. So anyways guys, thanks for watching.